Hello, what's up guys, I'm Kyle from KGR, and one of my most anticipated figures of this year has finally been shown off, and that is the SH Figuarts Yugi. When the Figma of Yugi came out in, 2016 or so, that became one of my favorite figures in my whole collection. So when Tamashii Nations was teasing that they were making a Yugi, I was already sold. I was already in. I know that Revoltech is making one too, so I plan on grabbing all three, doing individual videos as well as a whole buyer's guide video. However, the Figuarts one is the one I'm the most excited for because lately Figuarts has been cooking. Like, they've done really phenomenal figures with both Dragon Ball, Naruto. One Piece I hear is alright, but I don't collect those. But point is, I had high expectations. And there are some things they really deliver on, and there's some things I'm not too fond of. So let's get a deeper dive and get a closer look. However, before I get into that, I do want to mention the major problem with all three, and that's the fact that they're all going for the exact same style. So they're all going for the Battle City arc, which is fair because it's the best looking one as well as the most iconic arc throughout all of Yu-Gi-Oh! So it was kind of difficult for them to each make themselves stand out and make them try themselves like the supreme version of the character. So the Figuarts one does some things I'm actually really fond of. Instead of being a blatant copy and paste of the Figma, I like the fact that they made the hair curve a little bit and also add some texture to it. The texture adds just quality and care, while the curvature kind of adds more of an artistic stylistic point, kind of similar to what you would see in the anime itself. When it comes to comparing to other figures though, the biggest comparison I want to do is the Revoltech, is because the dual disc is transforming as well as the cloak or his coat, jacket, cape thing, whatever you want to call it, that seems articulated because of the split in the back. So both of those go for that, and the Figma does neither of those. However, what the Figuarts does that the Revoltech doesn't is that the graveyard zone actually goes over the deck zone when it's in standby mode, just like the anime. So that's pretty impressive, while the Revoltech kinda simulates what the big toy used to do back in the day. And I wish I still had one that properly worked. I do like some of the faces as well. I love the fact that he has one of the faces where it has the Millennium Eye on the forehead, because I've seen that on the Kotobukiya figure, but I've never seen that on a traditional action figure like this. So good on Tamashii Nations for that one. But I think my favorite thing that makes this figure stand out for me, that makes this a huge contender, is the fact that the cards are attached to the hands. Also, the detail on the back of the cards looks phenomenal. Like, I'm surprised they got that much detail on something that tiny, but the fact that they're sculpted to the hand itself leaves so many problems when it comes to either posing or doing photo shoots, because the amount of times the card would fall out of the hands and I would have to dig everywhere to find just a tiny little piece. Like, literally, it is that tiny, and it's like yay thin. Like, it's really difficult to find if it falls on carpet or in a mess. So the fact that these are attached, huge game changer, thank God. However, kind of where my praise ends for this guy. This guy does stand a little bit taller in the Figma too, so keep that in mind when you're shopping for this. But I do have a few minor gripes. For example, I noticed that on the graveyard zone next to the arrow, it's supposed to be painted white or silver around that arrow, and it's not. But the Figma as well as the Revoltech both have that paint, so I don't know how Tamashii Nations screwed up on that, especially when Bandai previously has put out a 1-to-1 scale dual disc. And speaking of, similar mistakes were kind of made to the Millennium Puzzle. So with the Millennium Puzzle, it looks great. However, the loop that has the chain going through it, that loophole is supposed to be facing you. Instead, it's facing side to side. I know when it comes to posing, having it set side by side makes it easier for the Millennium Eye to face forward at all times, because I know with the Figma, it definitely gets rearranged every once in a while and it gets annoying. However, if you want it to be accurate to the source material, you want it facing forward. And again, the other two figures are keeping it facing forward, but this one isn't, so that's kind of annoying. The paint detail, I'm sure they could fix before the final product comes out. When it comes to Millennium Puzzle, they pretty much gotta make a new mold for that, so I highly doubt that's gonna be fixed. Honestly, I doubt both are gonna be fixed, but that's besides the point. However, the biggest thing, this is my biggest nitpick, I'm pretty sure not many people are gonna care about this, but some might, is the fact that he doesn't look left or right. So what made the Figma Yugi for me very special was the fact that it had individual eye plates as well as individual face plates, so you can mix and match and make him look wherever and however. That to me was a game changer because that was the first figure that I got that did that, as well as when it comes to certain poses for Yu-Gi-Oh, it really adds that much detail and that much like oomph to your photo shoot when he's changing his eye directions. Most other figure artists don't make them look left and right anyway, so on paper it's not that big of a deal. So I'm hoping that when it comes to other characters releasing, like let's say they do a Joey, they do a Kaiba, or since they did GX and 5D's monsters, maybe we'll get Jaden or Yusei, we don't know. But let's pretend they do those and they each come with faces for Yugi to swap out, pretty similar how they're doing with a few Naruto figures as well as most of the One Piece line. Having him look left and right is very ideal, especially when other figures are doing that anyway. When Revoltech's releasing theirs, they have one face looking to the side, and then when they did their Yugi from the Vulcan log line based on the newest movie at the time, The Dark Side Dimensions, I think that's what it is, they have one face looking one way with one facial expression, and then one face looking the other way with a different facial expression. And I kind of wanted something similar to that here, but we didn't get that, so I don't know. I think for the most part, the figure's fine. I'm still going to personally prefer the Figma, but I do want to grab this because assuming they do make other characters like Joey and Kaiba, I want them to look really good next to each other. Because the Figma Kaiba I thought was alright, but I didn't think it was perfect. So I have a lot of confidence that Figuarts can make a really good looking Kaiba. And also getting a Joey in general would be really nice because we don't have one. But I don't know. The fact that Figuarts is coming in last, like they're the newest figure of the three, and the fact that it's messing up on certain details like that, it's kind of disappointing. But I gotta see this all firsthand. Another gripe I have is that the dual disc looks a little bit bulky, but I'm pretty confident it's just pictures. I want to see this thing in person. I want to wait on how I feel about that proper opinion. But either way, yeah, I'm grabbing all three. I'm doing the comparisons. I'm doing the unboxing. So look forward to all of those. But if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. Normally when it comes to figure news like this, I typically do it in a YouTube Shorts format. So it's easier for discoverability and it's quick and fast and I don't waste too much of your time. However, there's so much I had to say about this figure, I could have fit it in 3 minutes. But when it comes to figures that excite me, like anything from Yu-Gi-Oh, Naruto, I used to do My Hero, but not much anymore. But anyway, if you want to see me unbox all these guys, make sure you sub. And thank you for watching. I love you guys to death. And I'll see you on the next one. So peace.